Alright, I want to make sure you try these warm-up problems before you actually watch the rest of this video. So if you haven't tried them yet, go ahead and press pause, try the problems, graph this line, solve this equation for y, then solve this equation for y, then come back and check your answers. So go ahead and press pause now and do that. And for those of you who are still with me and you're checking your answers, let's go ahead and find these. To graph these equations, we have to remember the first thing we need to do is identify m and b. M is our slope, b is our y-intercept. This equation is in slope-intercept form right now. So my slope is whatever I'm multiplying x by. In this case, that's -3. And I write that as a fraction by putting it over 1. My y-intercept is always 0, comma, whatever I'm adding or subtracting when it's in slope-intercept form. In this case, 7. So I go to graph. I begin at 0, 7. It's always on your y-axis. 0, 7 is right here. I begin by plotting this point. I move -3 over +1. So my rise is -3. My run is +1. 1, 2, 3 down because it's negative. 1 to the right because the 1 is positive. 1, 2, 3 down because it's negative. 1 to the right because it's positive. Once I have my 3 points, I can use a straight edge and draw my line, making sure it goes through all of the points, and I have arrows on it so I know it's a line. In number 2, it says solve for y. That's going to be an important part of what we do today. We're going to follow the same directions that we did over here in number 1, except it's going to not necessarily be in slope-intercept form yet. We'll have to do the work to get it there. In this problem, to do that, with my equal sign right here, I have to just move the 12. I'm currently multiplying, so I'm going to divide every term by 12. 12 divided by 12 will cancel. That leaves y equals. This is going to be tricky. You guys have to be careful on this. 6 over 12 is a fraction. We have to put this in and simplify it as a fraction. 6 over 12 becomes 1/2, not 2. Very big difference. You have to be careful. And then the x you bring down in front. Minus 24 divided by 12 is 2. That would make your slope equal to 1/2, and your beginning point or your starting point or your y-intercept 0, -2. I know they didn't ask you for that, but we had to at least review that. In number 3, the difference is on the left side of my equal sign I have more than just the y term, I have the x term as well. The first step then should be to move your x term. It's currently a positive 10x, so I'll subtract 10x from both sides. That leaves positive 5y equals. It doesn't matter which way I write these two terms, it only matters that I have the correct sign with them. So if I left it as 25 minus 10x, that's perfectly fine. My next step would be to get the 5 out of there. So I divide by 5, divide by 5, divide by 5, and I get y equals 5 minus, this time the 10 over 5. The 10 is bigger than the 5. Here the 6 was smaller, so I have left with a fraction. The 10 is bigger. I get 2x, which is my answer because that's now slope-intercept form. And my slope in this case would be -2 or -2 over 1 because that's the number I'm multiplying x by. And my y-intercept would be 0, 5 because the 5 is positive.